This is Dante Williams, and you're watching
Dontae's
Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Portland.
Filipino Flash, Jesse Burns.
This is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dontae'S Boxing Nation.
Hi, I'm Sugar Ray.
Chick Shape.
Sergio, the last name one.
Dontae'S Boxing Nation. Boom, 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 boom.
Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder.
My name is Inoue Golovkin.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Well, yeah. We over here at Dante's Boxing Nation in Deporte Cubano in Big Bear, California with Abel Sanchez. He's giving us a tour of his training camp, his what would you call it, Abel?
I would say a training school.
Let me switch gears for just a second. Speaking of Danny, Roman Gonzalez is kind of in a very similar situation as Danny Jacobs. He just recently said that HBO and everyone, they want him to fight the undefeated WBO champion Inoue. They want him, to do a rematch with Estrada and Carlos Cedras. And now he's saying that the money is not there. He's saying that I'm not going to, fight these guys if I don't get the money that I deserve. I feel now I deserve a certain amount of money. What would you say to him?
Well, he's not in a similar situation. I disagree with you. I disagree with you because a little while ago you talked about Danny beating Golovkin and then what he could ask for after. Okay, so he's not in a similar situation. He's in a situation where he can say, either you pay me this or I don't fight. The same situation that Danny would be in if he beat Golovkin is you pay me this or I don't have a rematch. So he's not in the same situation. But Inoue is a heck of a fighter, man, and so is Chocolatito. I think that'd be a heck of a fight. If they can come to terms and they can make that fight, that's a barn burn.
But when you say he's not in the same situation, can you elaborate? I mean, you mean
because it's not a purse bid. It's not a purse bid where somebody has to fight him because either that or they get stripped. One of those two guys have to fight each other. Danny has to fight Golovkin or get stripped.
No, but what I mean is with him saying he's not going to fight if he doesn't get a certain amount of money. And he's got a right to say that. He's got a right to say that. He's the champion. He's a champion of a different organization that's not required to do a mandatory. The WBA ordered a mandatory between Jacobs and Golovkin, and if they don't come to an agreement, it goes to purse bid. If that's never going to be ordered for Inoue in Chocolatito, never. But do you believe that Roman Gonzalez is as big of a star as a Golovkin? To where he feels he should get a certain amount of money now?
I think he thinks so. I think he thinks so. I think that his record and the fact that he's uprated where he's at in his mind and in his people's minds, they believe that he is. So if Inoue wants to fight him and wants to take what he's got, just like Jacobs wants to take what Golovkin's got, if Inoue wants it, Inoue's people are going to have to make it worth Chocolatito's while. If not, then there's no pressure for Chocolatito to fight anybody because there's no mandatory. In this particular case, there is a pressure on Danny, not on Golovkin. There's a pressure on Danny to fight Golovkin because if he doesn't, the WBA will strip him. Now, if Golovkin said that he refuses to take 75% and Danny 25%, he wants an 80-20 split, then what people are going to say?
If he says he wants an 80-20 split, you're saying Golovkin.
Right, Golovkin. If he was doing what Danny's doing, only just the opposite, and the WBA stripped him and refused to fight, or they just say there's a purse bid and the purse bid was $1 million and it was Golovkin that said he didn't want to fight, what would the WBA do then? They strip him, right? It works both ways. It works both ways.
Once again, I already agree with the purse bid situation. Yeah. I was just hoping that they would come up with an agreement before the purse bid.
Going back to Chocolatito, if he doesn't have to fight Inoue, as a fight fan, I would love to see that fight because I've seen that boy fight before. Inoue, what a talent. What a talent. But I don't know what the numbers are, but I know that Chocolatito has had some great wins here at the Forum and in the last 3 or 4 fights, or at the Forum and in New York also. So I don't, I'm not in that camp to know what they're being offered or if it's even a realm of possibility, but I would love to see that fight.
But Abel, you wouldn't say to him, or not directly, obviously, but you wouldn't say when it comes to Roman, you need to just keep winning. You're in a very small weight class. You haven't really beat any superstars. As long as you keep winning, eventually you'll become that superstar that you want to be. I mean, what do you think about saying something like that?
Oh, I think that if I was with him and I was looking out for his best interest, I would say that just continue to pile up the wins and pile up the money and pile up records, because there's no, unless one of the organizations came to him and knew he was number one and as a mandatory, then the decision would have to be made in a different situation. But if he's comfortable where he's at and he's comfortable fighting on Golovkin's undercards, and he's going to fight the next 115-pounder, not necessarily the champion, but the next mandatory, let's just say, or the 3 or 4, then yeah, continue to do that. Why not? Continue to do that until somebody on the other side, Inoue, let's just say, somebody comes up with the kind of money that you're looking for. If they do, and then you turn it down, well, then I don't know what to advise.
Okay, but what if he fights the rest of his career without fighting any of those guys? I mean, would that just be a bad look for him if he never?
This guy's a 4-weight division champion. You got to be kidding me. He's a 4-division weight champion. That means that he's fought in 4 different divisions and won belts. He hasn't got anything else to prove.
So you're saying that you believe he can go for the rest of his career, if it's the next 5 years, without fighting any challenges just because of what he already did in the past?
Wait a minute. All the guys that are moved, if you and I were managers of fighters that were in a 115-pound division, and we were spending our money to promote them and to move them up the rankings, you're insulting, you're saying that it's insulting you and me. Because we're spending our hard-earned money to move our guys up the ladder, and they're nobodies to you.
No, I didn't say nobody's. I'm saying Inoue, a fighter like Inoue, Estrada, Carlos Cadras.
Wait a minute. Rankings. He's the champion of what organization?
He's the WBO champ. Inoue.
WBO?
Yeah, he's a WBO champion. He's undefeated, and he's a WBO champion. Oh. Hello?
I wouldn't have picked
Stuff. Hello.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I lost you.
No,
again.
anyway.
I was saying I was saying I know he is the WBO champion.
Oh, WBO. Okay. If you and I are managers, how you put it a little while ago is he'd be fighting nobodies because he's not fighting Inoue. Okay, if you and I were managers and we had fighters that were moving up the rankings in 115 pounds, and we're spending money to make this happen, to buy fights, to travel our guys, to do all the things that a manager does, when they get to a certain point, they deserve a shot at the champion. Chocolatito is a champion. So now, you mean to tell me that those guys, those nobodies, is those guys that you and I are managing? Come on, they're not nobodies. They're guys that work their way up.
Which guys are you talking about when you say?
What you said if he goes the next 5 years without fighting anybody, nobodies.
Okay.
Those are the guys I'm talking about. Those are the guys that you and I are managing, are moving up the ladder, and yet they don't matter.
No,
See,
I'm not talking. Well, I mean, it depends, because the guys. There's a lot of people you're managing that are straight prospects, though. I mean, you know.
No, it doesn't matter if they're prospects. It doesn't matter if they move up the rankings in that organization. They deserve an opportunity.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying they don't deserve an opportunity, but I'm saying in between those fights, like, for example, you had to fight Dominic Wade, you know, and other fighters, you know, they fight guys that are not at the top level, but then there's always that next fight, or maybe the fight at the end of the year where you fight, you get a signature win.
Yeah,
right?
But Dante, just because Dominic Wade moved up to number 1, or was number 3, actually, because Toronto Johnson was number 2, just because Dominic Wade was number 3 doesn't mean that number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7 didn't spend any money to get to that point, and then the next fight they fight another fight that moves up to number 5. Dominic gets beat, he moves out of the rankings, the guys move up. All those guys are spending money to deserve a chance at a title shot. It doesn't have to be the number 1. But very seldom do those champions fight the number 1 guy. Very seldom.
But Abe, I'm not saying they shouldn't fight those guys. I'm saying why not fight them both? The guys coming up and the guys that are already up at the top. That's all I'm saying.
Well, because he doesn't have to. He has to fight the guys in his organization. He has to, because those are ranked guys in his organization. To eliminate them, 1, or just because they deserve a shot, or because they become mandatories. He doesn't have to fight Inoue.
It's a free world. I mean, you can really fight whoever you want to, but at the end of the day,
now who you want? You have to fight the guys that are that are moving up in your organization. He's the WBO champion. The WBO expects him to defend against the guys that are
of
ranked
course.
in his organization.
I'm not
So,
disagreeing with that at all.
okay, so he has to eliminate those guys, or not eliminate, but he has to fight those guys in whatever next defense is. Okay, he doesn't have to. He can fight out of his organization, but why not fight the guys that are coming up in your organization? The WBO is going to want that. He's going to want that. And to fight Inoue is if it's not feasible for him monetarily, he doesn't have to. He's free to do whatever he wants, just like Floyd did whatever he wanted, just like Andre did whatever he wanted, just like Kovalev is doing whatever he wants. He's free to do whatever it is that is going to be beneficial to his career without, if they're not going to make it worth his while.
Okay.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. It's just, you know, we as fans, of course, expect some things. We as fans want things to happen, but we as fans are not going to have to live with the fact that we got nothing for a particular fight that we should not have taken, that the manager said you don't take, that everybody pressured you into. You know, take the fight that are going to be beneficial for your career and for your situation and for your organization. And if they offer you the money that you're looking for, just like Danny, if they don't offer Danny the kind of money that he wants, he doesn't have to take the fight, but he's going to lose his belt. Chocolatito is offered the kind of money that he wants, and he doesn't take the fight, then he's not going to lose his belt. He's not going to lose his belt because it's another organization. So all I'm saying is that, especially for Chocolatito, four division weight champion, he's got nothing else to prove, man. Really, just like Floyd has got nothing else to prove. If he takes a fight, it's going to be because it's worth his while.
You would compare him to Floyd in terms of resume when you say he's got nothing to prove?
No, I don't. What I compare him to Floyd is in regards to how many weight divisions he's moved up and been a champion. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't, obviously in our country, maybe in Japan there's those big names and the little guys, but we really don't know that many big names and the little guys here.
That's true.
No, we don't know. But he has fought in Japan a lot. He's fought a lot of big names over there that they consider big names. So, but the fact is that he did move up from 105 to 115. That's 4 weight divisions, and he's been a champion in all 4. That's how I compare him to Floyd. Yeah. That he's been able to do that and accomplish that. So just like Floyd has got nothing to prove, and if he takes a fight, it's going to be because he feels not only that he can win, because he thinks he can win he beat everybody, he can beat Godzilla, but because it's going to be so financially rewarding that it's worth his while. I mean, that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. And that's fine. I mean, me personally, and I think a lot of people, they want to see the fight no matter what happens. But like you said, it's up to Roman Gonzalez at the end of the day how he wants to be remembered. And that's why I truly believe, you know, like you brought up Kovalev, you brought up Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather, and you see fighters like Kovalev and Andre Ward, they have always been the type of fighters that's always looking for that big, dangerous opponent.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you, except for Ward. I disagree with you because Ward.
You don't believe Ward?
Really, no, wait. That's the only one I believe.
Oh, okay.
Ward.
Okay.
Because Ward was put into a situation where he had no choice.
Well, I mean,
the Super Six was a situation where they drew, and he had to fight the next guy, whatever that guy was. It wasn't like they went out and got that guy. They put guys together. So Ward really is the only Kovalev. Who did he fight? Pascal?
He fought.
Who did he fight? Hopkins?
Who did he fight? He fought Hopkins. I mean, you know.
Hopkins, a 50-year-old man.
Yeah, but
he fought Pascal.
I mean, but I give him credit for wanting to fight Andre Ward too. I mean,
no, no, absolutely. I think that right there will because Andre now. And when I say this about Andre, and I always criticize, and you guys ask me questions, I criticize Andre in his latest performances and his latest part of his career. I don't criticize him for what he did in a Super 6 because he was spectacular.
Well, even beating Chad Dawson. Chad Dawson was pound for pound number 7 when he beat Chad Dawson.
I disagree with you. He brought Chad Dawson down to 168. He drained him.
Chad was the one that went. Chad was the one that went down.
And if you are in Vegas, you know that Chad got knocked out 2 weeks before by Miranda. You know that he got knocked out in the gym.
Well, I mean, I didn't really know about that. I heard the rumors, but I mean, but sparring is sparring, though.
No, well,
I mean, Kovalev Kovalev was knocked down by Golovkin in sparring.
But he was a baby. You're talking about a guy right before a major fight.
But he was pound for pound. Chad Dawson was number 7, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world when he fought Ward.
I don't give Andre, honestly, I don't give Andre, in my opinion, that much credit for that. But what he did in the Super 6, spectacular.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
And then
because he beat who was somebody, and he was nobody at the time.
Yeah. He was an underdog. He was an underdog.
Shit, he was 17 fights. He wasn't supposed to even be in that tournament.
Yeah.
Okay? And he beat guys that were established. Not only did he beat him decisively.
Yeah.
Okay? So yes, he's the one that I would say that has done all those things. Of course, Mayweather has, because he's fought 100 world champions already. But Kovalev, no, I don't agree with that. I still believe Kovalev's going to beat Andre because Andre hasn't done, in my opinion, what he needs to do to get to this point again. But Chocolatito has done that already. So that's why I myself put him in a different place than Inoue. Inoue has 11, 12 fights, 14 fights, whatever he has. He hasn't really, although he's a great fighter, hasn't really done something that Chocolatito should be bowing down to.
But he's
in my opinion.
But he's a champion, and you already know a lot of those Japanese fighters. They have those records like 8-0, 7-0, and they're already world champions out there.
No, but you know what? He can fight.
Oh yeah,
he can.
I knew
he can fight.
Well, that's why Roman wants more money.
Yeah,
right?
He can fight. I don't know if you saw the fight against. Let me see. Who the fight did I see? Narvaez. Did you see that fight?
Yeah, you talking about Omar Narvaez? I seen the highlights.
That's the Argentinian that went 12 rounds with Donaire. Okay. Narvaez is his name, and Inoue just took him from pillar to post.
Okay.
Yeah. And just knocked him down. Just manhandled him. I think Inoue had like 8 fights or 7 fights or something like that. But so in the fights after that, he's looked more human, but he still is a guy that can fight. He can fight, man.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Well,
but because he's awesome, what's his name? Chocolatito should be compensated like Chocolatito feels he should be compensated. Not like I feel he should be compensated, or you feel, or the fans feel. It's how he feels because he doesn't have to fight him.
and that could be said for anyone in the sport of boxing. That goes for Danny Jacobs. That goes for Canelo Alvarez. At the end of the day, it's how Roman Gonzalez wants to be remembered. No one is trying to force him to do anything. At the end of the day, you're going to be remembered for who you beat. You know, your name is going to be synonymous with someone else, like Ali to Frazier, Foreman, and Sugar Ray Leonard to Duran, Hagler, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you remember that flyweight, the Russian flyweight about 25 years ago that was undefeated, like 100 fights, not 100 fights, but I mean like 30 fights, was beating everybody? Zarpakov or Markov, something like that. Do you remember him?
Not familiar with him.
Okay, you're not going to, 20 years, not going to remember who Chocolatito beat.
No, but that's the problem though, Abe. I mean, because 50, 100 years from now, we're going to all remember who Sugar Ray Leonard, who...
He's American. He's American. He's American.
But
the other guy's a one that nobody cares about.
But if you beat an American, I mean, Pacquiao is not American. Pacquiao is not American. We're going to remember who Pacquiao beat because
Pacquiao beat a lot of Americans here in America. Inoue is a Japanese guy that nobody cares about. Chocolatito is a guy that nobody really cares about 20 years from now. Nobody's going to remember.
If Inoue was to, you're telling me you believe that if Inoue were to beat or knock out Roman Gonzalez, you're telling me
20 years you wouldn't. You as a fight fan would remember. Okay?
Yeah,
you as a scribe would remember.
Yeah,
Nobody
fight fans. Yeah, fight fans.
Yeah, you would. I just asked you about the Thai guy that fought.
Well, yeah, I never even knew who he was though. I mean,
okay, well there you go. Kazagi, until he beat Jermaine Taylor. I'm not Jermaine Taylor. I'm sorry, Jeff Lacey. You didn't know who he was.
Oh no, I knew who they were. I mean, but to add on, to piggyback what you're saying, like Chris John, for example, a lot of people won't remember that Chris John, he beat Juan Manuel Marquez, and that's because Marquez, he has so many other bigger fights as well, and that fight was overseas. It wasn't even on TV. So that was almost like swept
Okay,
under the rug.
do you think the Chocolatito fight and the Inoue fight would be in the United States?
Oh yeah, it would be. I think it'll be. I mean, all of Roman's fights have been in the United States. At least the majority of them in the last 2 years. And even if it were in Japan, HBO would go over there. So
not all of his fights have been in the United States. He's had like 5-6 fights in the United States. His first fight was in the United States was at the Pomona Fairgrounds 5 years ago.
But that was before he became a star, though. I mean, now he's promoted. He has a big promoter. He
was 43-0 back then.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't fight. I mean, nobody knew who he was because he wasn't promoted by HBO or anything like that. Now that he's on the scene, it's a different situation.
Yeah, well, I just don't think that he has that much to gain by fighting that guy. Other than for us, for you and me, and all the diehard boxing fans that want to see great fights, I just don't think he has anything to gain for fighting him for something that he at the stage of his career. For something that he doesn't think they're making it worth his while, and what he has to prove is nothing to me. And if I was his people, I would say the same thing. If I was advising him, you got nothing to prove by fighting that guy unless they make it worth it. Unless you feel it's worth it, not what I feel. It's what Chocolatito feels, that it's worth his while. If they made it worth his while, then you know what? If he beats the guy, great. If he doesn't beat the guy, great. He goes off about his business. He's got 50 fights.
Yeah.
He's ready to retire. Really, he's ready to retire. He's at the point where it could be one more fight.
Oh, okay? So you saying that because you believe this is really close to the end of his career?
Oh, he's got 50 fights. There comes a point where you just get tired of this. You get tired of training camp. I'm not saying that that's the case because I know him, because I don't know that. But you're talking about 50 fights. You're talking about a guy that's been in training camp for 50 fights. After a while, it just gets boring, man. It gets boring. They don't want to do this. It's not because the other guy is better. Sometimes if they get beat, it's because they just get bored. You just get bored of the same old routine. Every training camp is the same. Whether you're Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Hopkins, Andre Ward, Golovkin, every training camp is the same thing. Monotonous, same thing over and over again. You do your weight training. You do all the shit that you do to get ready. Then you do all your sparring. Generally, it's the same guys and sparring partners unless you're fighting a southpaw. And generally, you do the same rounds. Generally, you do the same sit-ups. Generally, you do this. Everything's the same. It gets to the point where really it's monotonous for them.
I mean,
they get beat by themselves.
But with Roman Gonzalez, he just recently got introduced to the whole world. I mean, so
no, it doesn't matter. That part of the thing, the only thing that matters is he's introduced to Nicaragua. That's the only thing that matters to him. The world does nothing for him. That world does nothing for him. He's not an American.
Well,
if he was an American, it's a different story.
Everybody wants to be a superstar, though, Abe. You know that. Everyone wants to be a superstar.
No, I disagree with you.
You don't think?
I have fighters, and I've had fighters that Terry Norris was a different animal. Floyd Mayweather was a different animal. Orlin Norris didn't want nothing to do with superstardom. He just wanted money. He just wanted to take care of his family. Didn't care if he did one interview.
They're pretty much intertwined when we're talking about getting a lot of money and being a superstar.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
Canelo.
Valero didn't want nothing to do with.
Valero wanted Pacquiao. Valero wanted Pacquiao. That would have made him a superstar.
For the money, not because he wanted to be in front of a camera.
But
Frankie Gomez, a great talent here in Southern California, is hides from the cameras. Yet he won superstardom too, but he hides from the cameras. You know, not everybody wants to be. Not everybody wants that adulation. Trust me. I know that you look at it from the perspective of you couldn't go outside because you just don't want to sign autographs. You can't go to the store because people are just hounding you. You can't. You don't have a life.
I could understand that, but
you don't have a life. So
no, you're right. Some people don't want that, but I guess when I was talking about being a superstar, I was kind of talking about the combination of the money and the status. So I agree with you when you say the money. They want the money, and the whole thing is you want to fight that big name fighter so you can get the money. So
So do you think that when he has that next 3 or 4 fights that we're talking about without fighting Inoue, you think he's going to come in and live in the United States and be on camera? No, he's going to go back to Nicaragua and live in that little house that he's had forever, take care of his family, and raise his kids.
Like Maidana, but Maidana is rich now. But
exactly.
But Maidana is rich now.
You don't think that Chocolatito is after 48 fights? Living meagerly like he lives? You should see the way he trains. You see the clothes that he wears when he trains. He doesn't have new clothes. He has the same clothes he had the last time. You know, he's very he's very thrifty with his money. So if this kid saved his money, he's gonna go back home and live like a king. Doesn't need America, so he doesn't need Inoue. He's got enough in Nicaragua, where he's from. The cost of living is a heck of a lot less. So what I'm saying to you is, they look at it from a different perspective than you and I look at it, because we live here in the U.S. We live here. We understand the economics of it here, and those guys from those parts of the world. If Marquez fought again, he makes a lot of money, but he doesn't want to fight. He's got enough money. How much money can you have? I think I read a comment somewhere where he said, how much money could you have and not be comfortable?
I mean, Marquez, he fought Manny Pacquiao 4 times and Floyd Mayweather.
Right. But if he
once.
fought again, though, do you think that he would make a lot of money?
It depends on who he's fighting. I mean,
well, the only person he's going to fight is somebody like Manny, or somebody like somebody that's
any guy with a name, he's going to make money.
Yeah,
any guy with a name, he's going to make good money.
So it's a matter, but the fact is, he's got to go back to training camp. He's got to go through the rigors of going to training camp. He's got to go through the rigors of the same monotonous thing over and over again. Sometimes the money's just not enough.
And he's 40 years old too, so I mean, I think he's over 40 now. So
how many fights does he have?
Marquez? I don't even know how many fights he has.
Take a guess.
Almost up around 40, right? I think.
Okay. Chocolatito's got 48. So he's been through this longer than Marquez has. The training camps, whether you're fighting Pacquiao or whether you're fighting a nobody, the training camp is the same, because you can still have the opportunity to lose whether you're fighting a nobody or you're fighting a big name. The training camps are the same. They're still monotonous. They're still sparring. They're still the same thing over and over and over again. And it gets to a point where you just don't want to do it mentally, not physically, mentally. So if he's had 48 fights and Marquez has had 40, just imagine what he's gone through. And you go, like I said, you go through the same training camps. You know how you hear, I heard one day Canelo fought, I don't remember who he fought, maybe Khan. And Canelo coach was mentioned that he boxed 180 rounds. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 180 rounds. Multiply that times how many fights does he have? Okay, let's just say not all of them were 10 rounders. Let's just say half of those were 10 rounders. Multiply that times 20 fights. 180 is how much? 3,600 rounds that he sparred?
No doubt it's a lot of rounds. No doubt it's a lot of rounds.
Oh my God. So that means, forget the damage. Just think about how monotonous this has gotten for him, because he's doing the same thing over and over and over again. So when people talk about, when you talk about fights like that, and guys coming back, or guys fighting a certain guy, why should I? Why should I go back to do it? Why should I put myself through that again? I can make the same training camp to fight so-and-so. Okay, make half the money, but it's going to be an easier fight. You know, so all those how can I put it? All those variables that we as fight fans don't look at. I mean, I look at it because I go through it with my guys every day. I mean, I've seen guys get bored. I've seen guys just fed up. I've seen guys just all of a sudden not give me what they were giving me before, because they just tired of being in the gym, but they have to pay the bills.
I understand, and I totally understand what you're saying, Abel, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's all about how you want to be remembered.
To you, to you, and to a scribe.
Well,
not
you
to
don't.
the fighters.
Well, no,
trust me.
Even the boxers care. Well, you don't believe the boxers care how they remembered? Like,
no, not a guy from Nicaragua.
You don't think they want to leave a legacy behind them or anything like that?
In Nicaragua is already a legacy. If you're talking about Chocolatito, in Nicaragua is already a legacy.
You're saying he's already considered a legend. I mean,
oh man, he's bigger than the president in Nicaragua. Just like Manny's bigger than the president. So
I mean, that's just like Zhou Shiming. He's looked at as huge in China right now. But I mean, once again, you want to be remembered by the boxing world, not just your own country. You don't believe that?
See, if you only knew him, you'd understand that what you're saying is completely false.
Well, you know what?
If you only knew him.
And that's fine. If that is the case, you could be right, Abel. If he just wants to be remembered by how much his country loves him, how much his family loves him, and how much money he's got in the bank. And that's fine. And that's fine. That's fine. If that's how he wants to be remembered, of how much money he has in the bank, how much his family loves him, That's fine. I have no problem
Yeah.
with that. It's up
So-
to him at the end of the day, you know.
Right. So that's why I'm saying that the Inoue fight does nothing for him. For him, not for you and me. For him.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean,
unless it's what he wants as far as financial is concerned, and unless he gets that and he is secure in his mind that he's secured his family's future and his kids' education and his grandkids' future, if that's how he looks at it, that's the reason he's going to take it. It's not because he wants to be remembered by you and me.
yeah, I mean, once again, if that's how he feels about it, more power to him.
But a lot of fighters, believe it or not, a lot of fighters feel that way though. I think not so much the American fighters, and a lot of the Mexican fighters feel that same way. Maidana, you just mentioned Maidana. Maidana can give a rat's ass if you and I remembered him. He's got a ranch over there in Argentina. He's got cattle. He's got horses. He's fat. He eats a steak every day. So you don't really care what you and I think. You don't really care what you and I think. Now the Americans is a different story. The Americans, for some reason, we are, I think, primed and raised in a way that celebrityism and legacy and all that is so important to us. But to a lot of these guys, really, it doesn't matter.
Being the best. It's about being the best. That's how a lot of people want to be the best. But you're right. Some people don't care about being the best. Some people, like you said, they just want to live good, you know, make some money and, you know, and you know, raise their family and everything. But there's a lot of people in this sport that still want to be considered the best. They care about their legacy and all of that. Well,
in this country.
Well, in other countries too. It's not just America. I mean, you have the UK. You have fighters in Mexico.
I've been blessed to have worked with been around a lot of great fighters. Tito Trinidad didn't give a shit about that.
You don't think Trinidad cared about being the best?
No, being the best, yes. No, being the best, absolutely.
Because that's what I'm talking about.
But being remembered, like you would have learned English and made it a point here in the United States to be remembered in the United States. He cared about Puerto Rico, not us.
Well, I'm only talking about being the best, not really about, you know.
Well, but you said about legacy and about being remembered.
Well, yeah, legacy is remembered. Legacy.
No, but legacy to him, legacy to those guys is legacy where they're going to be, where they're going to live, where they're going to be. That's why Tito never learned English. Tito didn't care about the U.S. Tito made his living here in the U.S., but really, if you'd have cared about being popular here in the U.S., you would have learned English. The same with Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Yeah,
he could have learned English, but really it wasn't important at the time. Now maybe today they look at it different, but at the time they're concerned by they're going to go back home. They didn't stay here. If that was so important, they would have stayed here and been like our fighters, okay, like Ray Leonard that you just talked about, and Tommy, and being at the events, Mike Tyson being at the events. That's important for the guys in our country. It's not important for a lot of those other guys that come here and then go back and you never hear about them no more because really it wasn't important.
You talking about being at the events though? When you
yeah, that's the legacy. That's the part where legacy is important to them because people remember. Oh yeah, shit, that's who you are. They really didn't care. They come to the events sometimes, like the conventions and stuff like that, and have speaking engagements. But really, they don't do anything after that. They don't really crave that limelight that a lot of our guys do.
Yeah, and once again, Abe, I wasn't really just talking about the limelight. I was mainly focused on being the best, and that's all I was mainly focusing on. You know, I mean, it comes with the limelight and all of that, but I was really just talking about people wanting to be looked at as the best. They want to be remembered as the best.
If Chocolatito fights 5 more times and beats 5 nondescript guys or non-important guys, as you said a little while ago, 20 years from now, you're not going to remember who they were or what he did. Just like today, you probably can't tell me who the last fighters that Wilfredo Gomez fought or the last fighters that Salvador Sanchez fought, unless it's Azuma Nelson. But you can't tell me who the last. Can you name the last 5 fighters that Larry Holmes fought before he got beat by Spinks?
The only wins I remember are the signature wins. Jerry Cooney, Ken Norton, Tim Witherspoon. Of course, he was in there with a faded Muhammad Ali. Those are the fights I remember. That's all people usually remember is the signature wins.
for Chocolatito, the last win against Cuadros is a signature win.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fight that he had against the Japanese when he got the 105-pound title was a signature win.
The
in his
Estrada,
career, in his mind.
Estrada was a signature
The Estrada
win.
fight was a signature win. Okay, so he's had his signature wins. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that everybody considers an important fight or an important signature win. It's your opinion and my opinion, and in his opinion, it could be different. To me, our signature win with Golovkin could be Gil. Why? Because he beat Sturm. What other people think, it doesn't really matter to me. Murray, because he beat Martinez in Argentina. You know he beat Martinez. Stevens, because he was the chin checker. He was an American. He was supposed to be the test. Macklin, because he went so many rounds with. So there's a lot of signature wins that we feel are signature wins. You may not think so, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because, like I said to you once before about, do you know of a guy that dominated his division like Golovkin is? And somebody came at me with Mike Tyson that dominated his division, and that's not true because Mike Tyson didn't dominate his division.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, Mike Tyson, he didn't really have, other Mike Tysons to fight at the time.
Well, wait a minute. Even though he didn't have other Mike Tysons to fight, do you realize that he only made 9 defenses, got knocked out in the 10th? And of the 9 defenses, 6 of them were knockouts and 3 were decisions. The decisions were against Tyrell Biggs, who was 15-0 at the time. Bone Crusher Smith, another killer, and Larry Alexander, another killer. So how did he dominate?
Yeah.
He didn't have Mike Tyson. He didn't have Mike Tyson's, but he still couldn't dominate.
I mean, he dominated his opponents, but to me, he didn't have like real signature type wins. To me,
no, he didn't dominate. He didn't dominate. Look at the fights. Look at Bone Crusher Smith fight.
Yeah, he dominated. Bone Crusher just held all night. Bone Crusher, all he did was held all night. Trevor, he dominated Trevor Berbick. He dominated. He dominated.
9 defenses, and 6 of them were knockouts and 3 were decisions. To me, that's not dominating.
Well, I mean, my thing is when it comes to Golovkin or Mike Tyson, I feel both of them. To me personally, I feel both of them have dominated everyone that they faced. That's how I personally feel. I feel both of them have. Of course.
I disagree.
Of course, before Buster Douglas.
I disagree because they were decisions. When you dominate, that means you're destroying, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you're talking about heavyweights versus
it doesn't matter. Flyweights, heavyweights, it's the same thing. Man.
And Bone Crusher Smith, all he did was survive. Though he just came in there holding and grabbing. Like when Golovkin fought against Dominic Wade, for example, Wade wasn't really holding. He
didn't let him hold him. If you watch Golovkin fight, you see how Golovkin pushes these guys away so they doesn't get held. It's Tyson. It takes 2 to hold. It wasn't just Bone Crusher Smith. It's Tyson making himself available to be held.
I don't know about that one right there.
Okay, well, you have to watch fights. You have to watch fights and understand.
I watched the Bone Crusher Smith fight a lot of times.
Okay, but you have to understand there's 2 guys in there, and there's 2 guys, and you have to make yourself available to be held.
So
when Crusher got close to Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson grabbed him around the waist, and then Bone Crusher held his arm, and Bone Crusher didn't pull his arm around his waist. Mike put it there.
So you're saying you don't believe it's domination if you don't get the knockout? That's what you're saying,
right? I'll tell you who dominates. No. It's not a knockout. I'll tell you who dominates. Floyd Mayweather dominates. Okay. And Floyd Mayweather doesn't hold.
Yeah.
His hands are never around somebody's waist.
Well, yeah. That's the point I was about to make. You beat me to it.
His hands are never around somebody's waist. Floyd Mayweather dominates by hitting and punching the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mike Tyson allowed himself to be held. Floyd doesn't allow himself to be held.
Well, I only asked the question because you had said before that Tyson, you wouldn't consider it a domination because some of them were decisions. That's what you had said before.
No, because he didn't dominate. It doesn't matter if the decision just beat the shit out of somebody until look at the scorecard. Okay, look at the scorecard and look at Tyrell Biggs' fight. 15 fights. But Tyrell didn't hold him.
No, yeah, and he knocked him out. And Tyrell Biggs, he didn't
knock him out. He didn't knock him out. He decisioned him.
No, he knocked him out. Tyrell Biggs?
Decisioned him. Go back.
You're talking about the Olympian.
And the beauty of this conversation, I'm going to tell you the beauty of this conversation, that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes this sport so interesting because you have an opinion, I have an opinion, and hopefully you will get proven wrong or in your case, I will get proven wrong. Okay? And not wrong, just the fact that, you know what, I guessed that one right because anything can happen in this game. And just like I said to you about Jacobs not taking it, obviously that was a guess. I'm not clairvoyant, but you just see history and you just see what's happening and you just see the fact that all the words are being said that are wrong. In other words, all the things that Jacobs was saying leading up to the negotiations were wrong. In other words, if you really look deep into them, well, I have a number set in my mind. Okay. That number set in his mind, if he doesn't get off of that, then maybe that fight's not going to be made. That's why I say things like I say, because of what's being preempted, I guess, or pre-said or discussed. So when he's saying things like that, I'm thinking, shit, it's not going to happen. I'm saddened that it's not going to happen because we all we're going to be treated to a heck of a fight.
Yeah,
a heck of a fight and a heck of a promotion.
And for the record, because I just looked it up, yeah, he did knock out Tyrell Biggs. He knocked him out in the 7th round.
Okay, what was his first 9 fights?
Whose first 9 fight? Briggs?
No, defenses. I'm sorry, the first 9 defenses.
Well, he fought Frank Bruno, undefeated Michael Spinks. He fought Larry Holmes, I think, Tony Tucker. He fought, like we said, Bone Crusher Smith and Tyrell Briggs.
Right.
I mean,
how many knockouts, how many decisions did he have in those first 9 wins before he got knocked out?
How many decisions did Mike Tyson have? Is what you're asking.
Before he got knocked out by Buster.
I believe he knocked out all but 2 opponents, but I would have to go ahead and look it up. But that's once again going back to what I was saying. You're saying that not getting a knockout is considered not being dominant. That's what.
Not getting a knockout against a guy you're supposed to knock out. Not getting a very hard. A decision where you destroy somebody against a guy you're supposed to do that. There's guys that you're not going to knock out. But there's Evander Holyfield. It was going to be impossible to knock Evander Holyfield out. But if you dominated Evander Holyfield, then that's domination. But they're not going to knock him out.
But Abe, how can you automatically say a certain guy should be knocked out if Golovkin or someone else we're comparing them to, if they never fought the same guy?
Because of the level that they're at. In other words, Golovkin today, if he goes out and fights, let me give you a name. If he goes out and fights Highland, the guy from Argentina, the #1 contender for the WBC, and I don't know what his record is, but I think he's got 3 losses. If he goes out and gets a 12-round decision for him, you're going to crucify Golovkin.
I look at it this way. Okay, when you look at Ali versus Frazier. Ali fought Frazier 3 times. He can never even knock Frazier. He can never even knock him down. Go ahead.
But wait a minute. You're comparing apples and oranges. So you're
a boxer. You're saying because he's a boxer,
you're
right?
You're comparing the 2 of the greatest fighters, the heavyweight fighters to ever fight. Are you kidding me?
No, but we're talking about not getting the knockout versus getting the knockout. That's all we're talking about.
No, we're not. We're talking about getting a knockout against a guy that's supposed to be knocked out. Frazier and Ali were not supposed to be knocked out.
Tyrell Biggs was supposed to be knocked out.
But Foreman knocked out Frazier in 4 rounds, though. He knocked him out twice.
Who didn't Foreman knock out?
But that's my point. But that's my whole point. Foreman would be looked at as the Golovkin at that time. He was able to do something to Frazier that Ali couldn't do. But when Ali fought against Foreman, Ali knocked out Foreman. So, it's like styles make fights too, though, right?
True. But I'm talking about domination. I'm talking about if you don't knock them out, dominating to the point where it's just so easy that it's a walk in the park for him. For Ali, it wasn't a walk in the park until he decided to make it a walk in the park. For Foreman, he came out and just destroyed a man that had never been beat like that. Beat down.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you is, I think we got off the subject of Chocolatito. He just I don't feel he has to fight that fight. I feel like he's done enough.
Yeah.
He's done enough to warrant Hall of Fame status, to warrant our respect if he never fights this young stud, because he is a young stud. Hopefully Inoue fights.
Hopefully what?
Inoue fights like Chocolatito has been doing and establishes himself as as a superstar, and then they fight when Inoue's got 20 fights and Inoue's done what Chocolatito's done. Hopefully.
This is Bobby, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.